if one single dream could change the entire direction of your life? Not just a random dream, but one that feels so real, so powerful, that it keeps calling you even after you wake up. What if that dream was trying to tell you something about who you truly are and what you are meant to do in this world? Would you listen to it, or would you ignore it because it sounds too big, too hard, or too far away? That's exactly what happens in The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. The story begins with a young shepherd named Santiago. He's just an ordinary boy who spends his days walking through the hills of Spain, taking care of his sheep and sleeping under the stars. His life is peaceful, simple, and predictable. But inside, Santiago feels something missing, something he can't quite name. And that's that quiet voice that sometimes speaks to us when we look out at the world and think, there has to be more than this. One night, Santiago has a strange dream. In the dream, a child tells him to travel to the pyramids of Egypt, because that's where he'll find a hidden treasure. The dream is so vivid that it won't leave his mind. He wakes up and keeps thinking about it, again and again. It feels more like a message than a dream. Still, he doesn't understand it. How could someone like him, a simple shepherd, possibly travel all the way to Egypt? At first, Santiago laughs at the idea. He tells himself it's just a dream. But deep down, he feels a spark and energy he hasn't felt before. That spark is curiosity mixed with courage. It's the beginning of every great story. It's what happens when you dare to imagine something beyond your comfort zone. Soon, he meets a mysterious old man who calls himself Melchizedek, the king of Salem. This old man tells Santiago something that changes everything. He says, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. Santiago doesn't fully understand it yet, but those words plant a seed in his heart. They mean that destiny is not something that happens to you. It's something that you move toward, one choice at a time. This is where his adventure begins. Santiago decides to trust his dream. He sells his sheep, gives up his familiar life, and starts his long journey to a faraway land. He doesn't have all the answers. He doesn't know if he'll find the treasure. But he chooses to believe that his dream has meaning, and that belief alone becomes his first step toward his destiny. And that's what makes this story so powerful. It's not just about a boy searching for treasure. It's about the treasure that lives inside every person, the dream, the purpose, the something more we all feel deep within us. Santiago's journey is a reminder that every dream comes with a choice. Stay where you are, or step into the unknown and see what you're truly capable of. Now, here's something important for you. By the end of this video, you'll learn 5 life-changing lessons from The Alchemist. Each one reveals something about how dreams work, how destiny finds you, and how you can create your own path even when the road isn't clear. And if you stay till the end, I'll share one hidden secret from the book, a message that most people completely miss, but it might just change the way you look at your own life forever. So, as we begin, take a moment to think about your own dream. Maybe it's something small. Maybe it's something big. Maybe it's something you've been afraid to admit out loud. Whatever it is, keep it in your mind as we go through Santiago's story. Because the truth is, this isn't just his journey, it's yours too. Have you ever felt something deep inside telling you to do something, but your mind tried to talk you out of it? Maybe it was a gut feeling, a quiet voice, or just a strange sense that you should go in a certain direction. That's exactly what Santiago learns early in his journey. The first big lesson from The Alchemist is simple but powerful. Listen to your heart. When Santiago begins his adventure, he's filled with excitement. He believes that finding the treasure will be easy. But life quickly proves him wrong. He faces loss, confusion, and doubt. In the city of Tangier, he's robbed by a man he trusted. All his money gone. He's left alone in a foreign land, unable to speak the language, with no idea how to continue. For a moment, his dream feels broken. Most people would give up right there. But Santiago doesn't. Instead, he begins to listen to something inside himself. He realizes that the answers he's looking for are not out there. They're within him. His heart begins to speak, not in words, but in feelings. It tells him to be patient, to learn, to observe, to keep going. So he finds a job with a crystal merchant and starts over. Slowly, he earns back his confidence, and with each small step, he begins to understand what his heart is trying to say. Santiago learns that the heart doesn't always shout, it whispers. It doesn't always make sense at first, but it knows the truth long before the mind does. His heart tells him when to stay, when to move, when to trust, and when to take a risk. It's not always easy to follow. Sometimes it tells him to leave safety behind. Sometimes it pushes him toward fear. But every time he listens, something good happens, something that moves him closer to his dream, and that's the same for us. Your heart is like a compass. It knows where you need to go, even when the path looks uncertain. But here's the problem. We often silence it. We fill our lives with noise, with other people's opinions, with fear of failure. We start to believe that logic is safer than feeling. Yet the heart doesn't deal in safety, it deals in truth. Paulo Coelho writes, "You will never be able to escape from your heart. So it's better to listen to what it has to say." And one line carries so much wisdom. When you ignore your heart, it doesn't go away. It just waits quietly until you're ready to listen again. But when you finally do listen, life begins to move in strange and beautiful ways. You meet the right people. You get unexpected chances. You find strength you never knew you had. Santiago learns that his heart speaks the language of the world. It's the same language that connects dreams, signs, and destiny. It tells him when he's on the right path, even if things seem hard. He realizes that the world outside is just a reflection of the world inside. If he trusts his heart, everything else falls into place. So, how can we use this lesson in our own lives? Start by paying attention to what excites you, what makes you curious, what lights that small fire inside. That's your heart trying to get your attention. Don't ignore it just because it feels risky or unrealistic. Every great story, every big success, every fulfilled life starts with someone who dared to listen to that quiet inner voice. The heart is wiser than fear. It knows what you're meant for. And once you start trusting it, life begins to guide you step by step toward the treasure that's waiting for you. Because in the end, Santiago doesn't just follow a dream. He follows himself. And that's where all real journeys begin. Have you ever had a dream that felt so big it scared you? Maybe it was something you've always wanted to do, start a business, travel the world, write a book, or change your life, but every time you think about it, fear stops you. You tell yourself, "I'm not ready yet," or worse, "What if I fail?" That's exactly what Santiago felt before he took his first step toward his destiny. In The Alchemist, Santiago's life as a shepherd is comfortable. He knows his land, his sheep, and his routine. He's safe. But safety can sometimes be a trap. The dream he had about a treasure in Egypt keeps returning to him, almost like a voice saying, "You were meant for more." Still, leaving everything behind feels impossible. What if the treasure isn't real? What if he ends up with nothing? Then one moment changes everything. Santiago meets Melchizedek, the old man who tells him that everyone has a personal legend, a destiny that only they can fulfill. He tells Santiago that most people never follow it because they're afraid. They fear losing what they have. They fear failing. They fear being judged. But he also says something that burns into Santiago's heart. When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. Those words are the push he needs. Santiago sells his flock of sheep, the only life he has ever known, and uses the money to begin his journey to Egypt. It's not an easy choice. He feels fear, sadness, and doubt. But deep down, he knows this is the first step he must take. And that first step, though small, is what separates dreamers from doers. That's the second great lesson from The Alchemist, the power of taking the first step. Dreams don't work until you do. You can wait for the perfect time, but it never comes. There's always something missing: more money, more confidence, more approval from others. But destiny doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It starts moving the moment you do. That's what Santiago discovers. After taking the first step, everything changes. He faces challenges, yes, but he also meets new people, learns new lessons, and discovers strengths he didn't know he had. Each challenge brings him closer to his dream, even when it doesn't look like it. If he had stayed home, none of that would have happened. His life would have stayed safe but small. This lesson applies to every dream you have. The first step is the hardest because it's the one that demands courage. It's the moment you decide that your dream matters more than your fear. It doesn't matter how far away your goal seems. What matters is that you start. Once you begin, life starts to respond. Doors open, opportunities appear. People come into your life to help you. That's how the universe conspires for you. It moves in rhythm with your courage. Paulo Coelho shows through Santiago's story that destiny rewards motion, not hesitation. It doesn't care if you're scared. It just asks that you try. The moment you take that first brave step, even a small one, you're no longer the same person. You've told the world, I'm ready. So think about it, what's one dream you've been holding back from? Maybe you're waiting for the perfect time to start. But maybe, just maybe, the perfect time is now. Santiago teaches us that the path to our dreams doesn't begin with certainty, it begins with movement. The first step might feel small, but it's the key that unlocks everything that comes after. Because no matter how far the pyramids are, you'll never reach them if you don't take that first step. Have you ever noticed that when you finally decide to go after something you truly want, things start to line up in strange ways? You meet the right person at the right time. You get an opportunity you didn't expect. Or you stumble upon something that pushes you closer to your goal. That's not just luck, it's the universe responding to your courage. And that is exactly what Paulo Coelho meant when he wrote one of the most famous lines from The Alchemist. When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. At first, this sounds almost magical. But in Santiago's story, we see it happen again and again. When he finally listens to his heart and takes that bold first step, the world starts to shift around him. After losing everything in Tangier, he finds work at a crystal shop. At first, it seems like a step backward, not forward. But through that job, he learns about patience, hard work, and how dreams inspire not just him, but others too. Santiago helps the old merchant grow his business. He introduces new ideas, like selling tea in crystal glasses. The merchant is doubtful, but it works, customers love it, and the shop becomes successful. That success gives Santiago hope. It's the universe's way of saying, keep going. You're on the right path. Every time Santiago takes a risk, something positive follows. Not immediately, but always eventually. He meets mentors, learns lessons, and gains experiences that shape him. The desert tests him, but it also teaches him. Each challenge becomes part of his preparation. It's as if the world itself is training him for something bigger. This is what it means when the universe helps the brave. It doesn't mean your journey will be easy. It means that when you show courage, real courage, life responds. Opportunities appear, lessons arrive, and people come into your story at just the right moment. But none of that happens until you make the choice to believe in yourself. Fear keeps most people from ever seeing this truth. They think they need to wait until they feel ready or until they know every step ahead. But Santiago shows us that you only start to see the path after you begin walking it. The map unfolds as you move forward. The universe doesn't show you everything at once. It gives you one sign, one step, one lesson at a time. Sometimes that help looks like success. Other times it looks like failure. But both are important. Even when Santiago loses things or faces pain, those moments guide him closer to understanding himself and his dream. The universe helps him grow, not by giving him comfort, but by giving him exactly what he needs to move forward. And that's true for you too. Think about a time in your life when something went wrong, but later you realized it had to happen that way. Maybe it pushed you towards something better. Maybe it forced you to change direction. Maybe it made you stronger. That's how the universe works. It teaches through experience, not ease. Paulo Coelho's message is clear. Life rewards those who have the courage to act. Once you take that first step and commit fully to your dream, you set a powerful energy in motion. It's like the whole world starts listening. But if you hold back, if you wait for guarantees, you stay stuck in the same place. Santiago's faith becomes his fuel. Even when everything around him seems uncertain, He keeps believing that the world is helping him. That belief gives him strength, hope, and direction. It turns every obstacle into a message and every delay into a lesson. So, if there's one truth this part of the Alchemist teaches, it's this. The universe doesn't respond to wishes, it responds to action. Be brave enough to take a step, even when you're afraid. The moment you do, life begins to open its doors. Because courage doesn't just change your path, it changes what's possible. And as Santiago continues his journey through the desert, he begins to understand something deeper, that the goal isn't just to reach the treasure, it has to become the kind of person who deserves it. Have you ever been so focused on reaching a goal that you forgot to enjoy the path that takes you there? Maybe you were chasing success, love, or recognition, and you told yourself, I'll be happy when I get it, but when you finally did, the feeling didn't last long. That's because the real meaning of every dream isn't found at the finish line, it is discovered along the way. And that's exactly what Santiago learns in The Alchemist. At first, Santiago believes that his only purpose is to find the treasure buried near the pyramids. That's what his dream told him, so that's what he's chasing. But as the story goes on, the treasure becomes something deeper, something far more valuable than gold or jewels. Every person he meets, every struggle he faces, every lesson he learns adds a piece to his understanding of life. When Santiago crosses the desert, he meets an Englishman who's searching for the secret of alchemy, the power to turn metal into gold. The Englishman is smart, curious, and always buried in books. He believes that wisdom comes only from reading. But Santiago sees the world differently. He believes that real learning comes from living, from observing, listening, and paying attention to signs. As they travel together, Santiago starts to realize that the treasure he's looking for might not be a thing, but a transformation. The journey itself is shaping him, his thoughts, his patience, his courage, and his faith. Every hardship becomes a teacher. Every delay becomes a test. He starts to understand that destiny isn't about where you end up, it's about who you become on the way there. In one of the most powerful parts of the story, Santiago meets the alchemist himself, a wise and mysterious man who sees beyond appearances. The alchemist tells him that every person on earth has their own path, and that no two paths are the same. He reminds Santiago that most people give up when life gets hard. They want the treasure, but not the transformation that comes with it. The alchemist says, before a dream is realized, the soul of the world tests everything that was learned along the way. That line changes everything. It means that before you receive what you're dreaming of, life will test whether you're ready for it. It will challenge your patience, your trust, and your faith. Santiago's journey through the desert is exactly that test. It's long, exhausting, and full of danger. But it's also beautiful. He learns to read the language of the desert, the wind, the sand, the silence. He begins to feel connected to everything around him. This lesson is so powerful because it speaks to all of us. We live in a world that's obsessed with results. We're taught to chase the reward, the job, the house, the money, the recognition. But the alchemist reminds us that those things fade. The real treasure is the person we become while working toward them. Every failure teaches resilience. Every success builds confidence. Every mistake brings wisdom. Santiago's story shows that destiny is not a straight line. It is a journey full of twists, doubts, and discoveries. The magic lies not in the destination, but in the transformation. When you finally reach your goal, you realize that the real reward was how much you've grown. So, when you're chasing your own dream, remember this. Don't rush the process. Don't think that happiness only exists at the end. Every step matters. Every struggle is part of your story. The desert, with all its heat and silence, teaches Santiago to listen to life itself, to trust the moment he's in, even when he can't see what's next. And maybe that's the secret we all forget. The treasure you re-looking for isn't just waiting at the end of your path. It's growing inside you with every step you take. Santiago doesn't fully understand it yet, but he's close. Because soon, he'll discover the final truth that everything he has been searching for has been much closer than he ever imagined. Have you ever searched for something your whole life only to realize that it was right in front of you all along? That's the final and most beautiful lesson Santiago learns in The Alchemist. After years of traveling, working, and learning, he finally reaches the pyramids of Egypt, the place he has dreamed about since the very beginning. His heart is pounding with excitement. Every struggle, every pain, every moment of doubt led him here. But when he starts to dig for his treasure, something unexpected happens. A group of thieves finds him. They beat him, steal what little he has left, and laugh at him for believing in his dream. One of them mocks him and says he once had a dream too about a treasure buried under a tree in Spain, the same place where Santiago's journey began. And in that painful, shocking moment, Santiago realizes the truth. The treasure he was seeking was never in Egypt. It was back home where he started. At first, it seems like a cruel twist of fate. But as Santiago looks back, he understands what it really means. The treasure wasn't just gold. It was the wisdom he gained along the way, the courage to follow his heart, the faith to keep going, and the understanding that everything he needed was already inside him. The journey wasn't about finding something outside himself. It was about discovering who he truly was. That's the final lesson from The Alchemist. Everything you seek is within you. We spend so much of our lives searching for meaning, love, success, and happiness. We look for them in other people, in money, in achievements, in distant places. But the truth, as Coelho shows through Santiago's story, is that the answers we're looking for have always lived inside us. We just need the courage to go on a journey that helps us see them. When Santiago started his adventure, he didn't know who he was. He thought the treasure was something material, something shiny and far away. But by following his dream, he learned to listen to his heart, to trust the universe, to see the signs, and to believe in his own strength. The boy who left Spain to find gold returns as a man who has found purpose. This idea that the treasure is within you isn't just poetic. It's deeply real. Think about it. How many times have you thought, if I had more money, then I'd be happy? Or, if I lived somewhere else, everything would be better. But every time you reach one goal, another appears. The cycle never ends, because happiness doesn't come from what's outside. It comes from understanding who you are inside. Santiago's story reminds us that we already have what we're researching for. The courage to begin, the strength to continue, and the wisdom to learn. The treasure is not the destination, it's the transformation. Every experience, every emotion, every risk you take adds to that inner treasure chest. When Santiago returns to the place where his journey began, he finally digs under the tree and finds the chest full of gold and jewels. But this time, he doesn't cry from greed or shock. He smiles. Because now he knows that the real treasure wasn't the gold, it was the journey itself, the lessons he learned, and the person he became. This final realization is what makes The Alchemist such a timeless story. It's not just a tale about destiny, it's a mirror for all of us. We are all Santiago in our own way, searching for something we already carry inside. So the next time you find yourself chasing a dream, remember this. What you really searching for isn't out there. It's within you. The world around you simply helps you discover it. And when you finally understand that truth, you'll realize that you never needed to reach the pyramids to find your treasure. You just needed to listen to your heart, to your journey, and to yourself.